One of the best sounds of spring is hearing a turkey gobble during turkey season. It lets you know that you are in the game and where you need to go so you can seal the deal. So imagine it's opening morning and you hit a soft yelp and you get an immediate gobble response about 150 yards away. And your heart just starts pounding, so you, as quickly and quietly as you can, start heading that direction. You pop up over this ridge and you start making your way down this next slope because he should be in just the next holler over. And then a turkey just starts clucking like mad somewhere around you. You stop, you're scanning, and you see a turkey in a dead sprint away from you.
Coming for the eggs!
Kenneth!
They're coming for the eggs!
Because you done messed up. And like I said, hearing a gobble during spring turkey season is just one of the best experiences, but it can get you so excited that you make some very dumb mistakes. So in this video, we're gonna go over 3 mistakes that you need to look out for after you hear that gobble. But before we go over these mistakes, do me a favor, and if this is your first time on my channel, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you click that bell icon so you can be notified every time I upload a video. And also check out informedoutdoors.com to get yourself a t-shirt. It adds a +3 minimum to turkey hunting and a +2 to handsomeness. At least that's what my mom tells me. And let us know down in the comments what your worst turkey hunting mistake is. I wonder how many people have almost shot someone out there reaping. And so the first mistake that you're likely going to make after hearing that gobble is one I kind of just hinted at, and it's you forgot or don't know what the habitat or terrain is like where you're hunting. So in that earlier scenario, that hunter thought that that turkey gobbled about 150 yards away. But what they either didn't know or forgot about is that the terrain and habitat type where you're hunting has a giant effect on how sound carries. What sounds far away in hilly country can actually be very close to you. And the same goes to your calls. You might throw out a yelp or a locator call or something and think that nothing's there because nothing responded to you, but it could be that they just didn't hear you because the way the terrain lays out. It is vital to know the habitat types and the terrain features in the area that you're hunting. Otherwise, you're just gonna stumble through the woods scaring off every turkey in the neighborhood. Now imagine that same earlier scenario, you hear that gobble, it sounds far away, but this time you know that there's some pretty steep terrain over that next ridge. So now you're gonna vary up that approach. Instead of sprinting to where you thought you heard that sound, you might go to just the shy side of that ridge and maybe sit there for a little while. That knowledge could also help you plan the best approach, because maybe it's not going straight up that ridge and hoping that bird comes up the hill. Maybe it's going down around the point to an area you think he might be headed. That way you can get ahead of the birds stealthily and stay out of their line of sight. And the second mistake you're likely to make after you hear that gobble is to start walking and calling. So you hear a gobble, you yelp back at him, and he gobbles right back to you, but he's far away. This time you do know the terrain, you know the habitat features, so you have figured out the best way to approach him. So you start heading that direction. So you go about 50 yards or so, and you haven't heard him gobble in a while, but it would be really nice if he would let you know where he is. But he's still being silent. So you think, I'll just throw a couple yelps at him and see what happens. So you do, and he gobbles right back, and it sounds like he's in the same spot. So you're confident that you're doing the right thing. But then you move a little farther, and he didn't say anything, so you hit him with a call again, and he gobbles back. Then you hit him again, and then you hit him again. Finally, you are close enough to see that he is just out in the middle of this field, strutting his stuff, and so you think, I'll just hit him again and see what happens. You call, he gobbles right back, but he stays put, or maybe he's, working a line back and forth, showing himself off. But he's not getting any closer. There's no good cover to where you can get within range, so you think, I'll just sit here and wait him out. You're sitting there waiting, but he just starts drifting away, so you desperately hit him with some more yelps, trying to get him to come to you, but he kind of looks back at you where the call came from, and then he just keeps drifting off somewhere else. Apparently lost all interest. Now what you did wrong was that you inadvertently mimicked what actually happens in nature without realizing it. Normally what happens, a tom gobbles to let hens know where he is so they can come to him. And so while you were yelping and responding to his gobbles, getting closer each time, he thought, well, they're doing what they're supposed to, they're coming to me. So when we're hunting, we're making those yelps, we're trying to get that tom to come to us, we're trying to frustrate him so much that we're not coming in that he just says, screw it, I'm coming to you. Now walking and calling can be an effective strategy. Let's say you've got a tom hung up out in that middle of the field, he's responding to all your calls, but he's not getting any closer. He's expecting you to come to him. Well, instead of you walking and calling toward him, you need to turn that the other way around. You need to walk and call away from him. Make him think that you've lost interest in him. Take a play out of my wife's playbook and play hard to get. Here I am 20 years later, still hanging around. She can't get rid of me. This time, if you hear a gobble, instead of walking and calling to him, making him think you're coming to him, use your knowledge of the terrain, of the habitat features, get set up in an advantageous position for you, and then start calling. Then, if he gets hung up, he won't come any closer, start walking and calling, but the other direction. And that leads us to mistake number 3, and that is you're just too damn impatient. Being impatient is the number one reason why you screw up your turkey hunts. It gets you to make all those mistakes we just talked about and so many more. If you're just too impatient or frustrated or too damn excited, you are going to rush in every time you hear that gobble and scare that bird away. It's going to make you ignore terrain. It's going to make you call nonstop like an idiot. It's going to make you bounce around all over the property trying to get on top of birds, but you're just pushing them all out. Learn to just slow down. Concentrate on good woodsmanship to get you close to that bird, not your fancy decoys or your calls, and definitely not speed. If you're ready to leave a spot, give it another 15 minutes. If you hear a gobble in the distance, just stop for a minute. Don't just full on sprint to where he was. Think about where he most likely is. Pull out your map, look at the terrain, look at the habitat features so you can use that to conceal your approach and figure out where he might be headed. Patience kills way more birds than your $100 decoys and your fancy TSS that allows you to shoot out there 70 yards supposedly, and it's definitely way safer than that turkey reaping. Just keep that in mind when you're out there. So that was 3 mistakes that you likely make after you hear a gobble. If you want to have some more tips about some mistakes you might be making, watch one of these videos over here so you can avoid those this turkey season and finally fill a tag. Hit that like button if you like this video, share it if you found it helpful, and make sure that you are subscribed so you can stay informed.